Episode 147, 0.00%. Jake felt like his heart was sliced into a million pieces, bloody and broken. Gazing at her deeply, he fastened her seatbelt, shut the door, and sat in the driver's seat. His hands on the steering wheel, he pursed his lips and remained silent. He could clearly see the shape of her hand on his face from the back mirror. What an eyesore. Serena leaned back and closed her eyes. Tears flowed down her cheeks. Her hands stretched in utter weakness on her thighs. Silence. The only sound in the car was their breathing. When they arrived, Jake lifted her up and carried her upstairs. Placing her in bed, they still did not speak. Lying in bed, she opened her eyes and looked at him. At the same time, he gazed at her. Their eyes were locked, both full of different emotions. They spoke at the same time and stopped at the same time. Jake was silent, staring at her with his cold eyes. Serena's eyes were dry. Looking in his eyes, she said helplessly, "Let's get a divorce." Glaring at her, he clenched his fists and blurted out, "No way!" Let's get a divorce. The simple sentence destroyed the calm that he had tried hard to maintain. Leaning over and looking down at her, he said decisively, "That's not my child. The woman must have tampered with the result. Tomorrow, I'll do a DNA test with her. I won't leave till the results don't come." She chuckled and pushed away. "You're joking. She could tamper with it. And so can you, Mr. Robinson." He felt heartbroken and growled, "Serena." "Yes, I'm listening." She moved in bed and found a better spot. Her eyes were puffy and she had a mocking smile on her lips. Her attitude hurt him deeply. She did not believe him. "Lila Cox loves only you. And you know about that, right?" Serena would remember that forever. Having no idea that she would bring this up, Jake rebutted, "That doesn't mean anything." "But it means everything to me." She gazed at him, her eyes full of sadness. "It is exhausting to be with you." She should not have had any wishful thinking. A man like Jake Robinson should never belong to her. He and Lila Cox were the perfect couple. She was the one who came between them and made Lila his mistress, carrying his son. However, how could Jake Robinson's son be a bastard? Even if Lila was willing to let that happen, Nola Robinson would not. Instead of being a loser, Serena thought it was better she were to make the first move. At least that way she got to keep the last bit of her dignity. But Jake clenched his fists tighter and tighter. Hitting the bed, he cried, "It's impossible. Don't even think about it. I will prove it to you that I have never betrayed you. I have never touched her, and that baby has nothing to do with me." Then he strode away and slammed the door behind him. Serena's heart thumped with the loud bang of the door. Looking at him leaving, she was dazed. After a while, she took out her cell phone and dialed a number. Travis Green had just boarded an airplane when he got Serena's call. It was the first time that Serena had called him, so Travis was overjoyed. He immediately picked up and called, "Serena!" Hearing his voice, Serena seemed to have found life support in her helplessness. Tears dropping from her eyes, she cried, "Dad?" She was sobbing, which made him feel shocked, and he quickly asked, "What's wrong?" Her voice was too broken to say anything. She burst into tears. Listening to Serena sob like that, Travis panicked. "What is it? Tell me." Calming herself down, she said, "Can I stay with you for a couple of days?
Of course. Where are you? I'll go pick you up. Don't cry and stay where you are."
Travis took down the luggage that he had put in the overhead compartment, with the air hostess gazing at him and asking what was going on. He directly went off the plane and walked out of the airport. Serena was not waiting for Travis in the house, but at a crossing that Jake would not drive past. There was only a change of clothes in her luggage. Travis came in a taxi. Seeing her, he immediately asked the driver to stop. He saw her swollen eyes and did not dare to ask more, but instead put her luggage in the trunk and took her to his home. When getting a call from Jake, Lila was getting her face treated in the hospital. She did not expect Jake to be visiting her. Not in her wildest dreams. This was a first since college. Although her face was swollen after being slapped by Serena, Lila tried to squeeze a smile out for the unexpected surprise. Jake entered the room, followed by his older brother Alex and Father Carson in tow. Seeing them, Lila could no longer sustain her smile and asked reluctantly, "Jake, do you need me for something?"
Glancing at her coldly, Jake said, "Follow me."
Feeling something was wrong, Lila asked nervously, "What happened? Can't we talk here?"
"Don't make me repeat myself."
Lila's eyelids twitched and immediately stood up. Jake's attitude towards her had not changed a bit. It had been more than 3 months since she was this close to him. Lila felt like reminiscing. Following Jake, she felt the surroundings looked more and more familiar. She had been here yesterday, and the day before yesterday. This was the genetics department. Lila stopped walking, as she had a bad presentiment.
"What's the matter, Jake? Why are you taking me here?"
"To do a blood test." At the same time, Miranda Young had already walked over with a file in her hand.
"Mr. Robinson, here are yesterday's test results."
Jake took it and looked at it. It was the same as what he saw yesterday. Curling his lips coldly, his eyes were frosty.
"How do you explain this test result?"
Lila's heart raced as she braced herself to ask.
"What do you mean? The proof is right in front of you. Do you still want to deny it?"
"Then how about this one?" Petrified and confused, Lila took the file from Jake and immediately saw the number on the report. 0.00%.